Welcome to the Bad Vibes Club. This is a little kind of pre-season conversation with Anne Duffau. I've been recording other conversations as well, but Anne has 2 screenings over Artlix weekend, which is happening on the 5th and 6th of October. So I wanted to get this out before Artlix happened. You can check the Artlix website or the A to Z website for details, but they're happening, I think, at Peckham Pelican and at Rye Wax on the 5th and 6th of October. Anyway, Anne's wonderful. She runs A to Z and she talks about that. And then we talk about podcasts and about her teaching work as well. I've also slipped a few bits of her mixtapes that she does, which mix together music and quotes from films and soundtracks from artist work and things like that. So I've slipped a few of those in on Anne's request. It's a great interview. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, see ya.
So A to Z started 6 years ago. It started as a curatorial platform, which for me was kind of a way to get into knowing artists and giving a platform. But in a way, it wasn't like the classic white cube. It was kind of trying out and testing. So it started as A to Z because of watching Deleuze's interview, which lasts 6 hours about the whole alphabet. He goes on and on about different words. I thought it would be a good way to actually use the alphabet and as a very simple basic, but kind of working with artists, not necessarily only artists, fashion designer, musician, around words and choosing a letter together and then choosing a word and having a discussion around it and then seeing what could work. What could work with no money because it hasn't been funded up to a point, which I will come to. But it was kind of trying to see what could work and how we could infiltrate spaces. So
you started off without having a permanent space?
No, so it's nomadic.
Yeah.
The idea is that it's just going anywhere, trying to get viral as much as possible. So the first event was a screening at V22, which was around the word apocalypse. And that was a kind of group video, which included the Autolit group, Ben Drew, to kind of more kind of young and new artists. I mean, Ben at the time wasn't as recognized.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And with music video as well. And then after that, it went through making a postcard with John Raffman and his Nine Eyes Google. So it was just kind of using one of his images that he found on Google and creating a postcard where it said what it was, but you could use it as a real postcard. And printing 5,000 of those, finding a place that was doing it for super cheap, and then just spread those all over. So it was kind of anywhere I would go, bars, cafes, but also galleries, also putting it in galleries where you sell postcards, kind of like being a bit, taking advantage of the spaces. And then after that, it carried on with the alphabet, but more in a more kind of organic way. So it became a kind of thing that I would do every 2 months, and finding different things to do. So there's been a calendar made with 12 artists, sending me an image and then printing it really cheap as well, and then sending it to different galleries or going to galleries and giving the calendar. Should have brought some, actually. I didn't think, nice. Sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have brought a few things, but
it sounds like all of these things are very low impact, right? They're about someone giving you an image or someone, a screening, someone can present work they've already made. And I guess that's because the no funding situation.
No, yeah. But also kind of wanting to see if people do actually see it or notice it, and who sees it as well.
Did you have any way of measuring that? I guess at the start when you're just giving out postcards.
It's kind of really random. But also, I don't know. I think it's the conversation that you get while doing it, and just like, explaining and then seeing what people say, or if they want to talk about the artist more. But gauging it in a way doesn't really matter in that sense. It's more about like creating new links with people. And then after that, well, I mean, it carried on with different projects. We were talking about Enclave. There was something at Res with Cyril Le Petit, who is a French artist. We did a show there. I mean, he did a show there, which was amazing. And which was more in a classical sense, an exhibition as such.
Curator and exhibitor.
But then there are things online as well, where I would ask artists to send me 10 tracks and 10 words in relation to their practice, or things they think relate to how they produce, or and then that's online, that's on Mixcloud. And there's been a series of videos as well online that were released. It was called Totem and Taboo. They were released weekly for a month, and that was then presented at 5 Years Gallery.
Oh yeah, 5 years,
And that was a project with Doggerland that they invited me for a night, and then we had a discussion around spaces, around kind of surviving in London and how do people do, and then after that I luckily got a space in Nine Elms, which was in relation to where I work at the RCA, the Royal College of Art.
So maybe you could explain because you work at the Royal College, but A to Z is a separate...
A to Z is really my side... it's my baby, in a way.
Your side hustle.
Yeah, exactly. But it relates a lot to now, much more to what I do at the RCA. But I'm the special project coordinator, and curriculum coordinator. So I look after the lectures, the film nights, the public talks, and all the groups. But I'm teaching a bit more now in moving image, and doing MA groups where all the students are mixed together from different programs. And with that, I'm kind of exploring more within the research that I'm doing with A to Z. So it kind of took a route that is looking at the idea of morphing and bodies, but also identity. And A to Z first, that's what I should say, is like, I'm a big fan of science fiction, but it's a narrative to get into, trying to create a small narrative that links some of the work, but it's not pretending that, I know I've got like the right formula. It's kind of playing around with different ideas, and often it's kind of like looking at Ursula Le Guin or looking at Octavia Butler and kind of trying to poking people a bit as well, and being a bit provocative with some of the work that were shown, and creating discussions, around racism, around discrimination, around what it means to be queer, and kind of,
I think there's been like a general turn to sci-fi. And do you think that's because it allows discussions about things that are maybe hard to talk about within the status quo or whatever?
Yeah, I think, it's a good way to actually present current issues. It's not about the future, it's about now, and it's really about like talking about all, especially now with like all the, Brexit, the US, like Turkey, Poland, it's just like all over Europe as well. Like it's so extreme within like what we as like, artists, creative in bracket really are for, it's kind of, so I think there are works that can lead you to really rethink how the statu quo is, and kind of pushing boundaries a bit. With the space that I was lucky to get through the RCA, it was in Nine Elms. It was in a very odd spot at the bottom of apartment towers.
Oh right, I see.
And it was kind of big windows, and people who lived there had no idea.
Was there some kind of window space in which was After Dark?
Yeah.
Or was that one of the projects?
No,
that you did?
that was one of the series. The first
Okay.
year was called Dusk Exhibition Series, which was kind of using the space in the most efficient way because I couldn't be there. I was working, well, I mean, I'm still working full time at the
Sure.
RCA, so I had to set up a show that people could see 24/7, but playing around the idea that you can only see it when it's dark, and when it's lit up, there is almost nothing. So, you really have to search and know what's going on, but also information were there to read and, online and all that. But the idea was to look at the kind of post-human, post-gender. And we had Evan Ifekoya, Chokli Tan, Daniel Shanken, Heather McAlden. I mean, and the space was animated with the private view, but also there'd be performances happening. And next to it, there is like a kind of barge that looks like a cabaret a bit, where you can actually set up gigs or performances in there as well. So we would use it after the kind of, not the after party thing, but like trying to like see how we can use it in different ways again. We had performances happening there. Chokli organized a kind of really interesting night where we had people who were involved from the previous, so Evan DJ'd, and we had kind of really, really sci-fi performance. But I mean, yeah, it was kind of a playground a bit.
Because when I think of what you do, I do think a lot of events and performances and music as well. You do something with Chokli called Décalé, is that
Décalé,
right?
yeah.
Décalé.
So Décalé, which means being out of place. And it's a night that we started maybe, how long? We are quite new, 8 months ago, at a DIY space for London.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
You should come. There is one, the next one is the 13th of October.
Okay, maybe this can go out before then, and then that could be
that would be
a very
amazing.
small amount of
that'd be great.
coverage for you.
No, that would be really good. But we started this night where it's kind of promote as much as we can people that don't necessarily have. It's kind of promoting like a young scene that is around being black, queer, people of color, which are doing electronic mainly music, but not only. I mean, DIY space is amazing. It's like such a cool like community space, and the fact that it's kind of all about bringing people together and not having any like judgmental and preconceived idea is what we were thinking of and what we wanted. So, for example, there were Carnage Kills, who are like grime artists, but the way they look, they are just like a beautiful black female/male, and they do really proper grime. Like it's just amazing. So I don't know. It was kind of like meeting people and trying to like bring in music and bring people together in that way. But maybe there is like we've got a kind of a small motto for us, or like a say that we usually like have at each event. That is like the thing that we would like.
So for each party you have a motto, or in general?
No, in general, that's like the kind of thing that we came up to together. A night on planet Earth, Décalé, a night to encounter experimental collapsing and flawless sounds, visuals. People to declare together the unspoken and embrace the hybrid and reactive nature of our collective experience.
Do you think like parties have a particular place in doing that? Because I guess like when I think of art stuff, I think of something that's by its nature is kind of like conservative. Not that it can't have radical politics at its core or be quite progressive in its viewpoints, but just that it doesn't necessarily allow for certain kinds of activities to happen. And the party, I guess, is the opposite of that.
I mean, like Freeze is coming. It's going to be like, all about the VIP stuff and like the parties. But like the people who goes to that, it depends. Like you realize it's very white middle class anyway. And it's a certain type of people that goes there. It's very, very important within like, the kind of networking. I hate that word, but it's so important in the art scene. And the thing is, in the nightclub kind of scene, it's more about like people let go, you know? It's kind of who gives a shit about like how I look or what I do. It's like, but it's also really important in certain scenes. So it's kind of trying to break that down and being like, okay, fuck all like the whatever you think should be a night, like, you know, try to play with it. And we started with like doing a screening before, and the visual is kind of was something that we thought should be there. So there are visuals that comes within like, you know, DJ sets or and that there is a message as well through that can be political. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, it's kind of as soon as you like you put a word on something, you kind of box it down. So that's why, like, you know, we define something, but then it's like it has to change as well. Maybe in like a year we'd be like, okay, we need to like do something totally different, and it might be that we end up doing, I don't know, like urban gardening or like beekeeping. I don't know.
I mean, maybe DIY Space is a good place to do that, because it isn't just art people who are running it. Like, it's got a lot of different input.
I mean, they've got a printing lab as well.
Right,
like, you know, they do a lot of workshops around sound as well. But not only, I mean, they've got the Decolonize Fest that happens there. Like,
but you're out of Nine Elms now, right?
I'm out now, yes. So the first year was that Dusk exhibition series, and then the second year was more installation based. So there was Marianne Keating who presented a project she was doing around Jamaica and the Irish community in Jamaica. And she presented a film, but yeah, you could see it still when it was daylight. And then, it wasn't that mean. And then we had Vanessa da Silva, who presented an installation working around the idea of the flag and kind of breaking down nationalities and the idea of nationalities and myth. And she did a performance and with an amazing choreographer. And then we had Erika Scorti, who did 2 performances and a crazy installation.
I was looking at that yesterday, where the walls is like totally covered in screenshots.
All
and text
it was all her archives, personal archives. So there were like kind of bills to grocery shopping to emails sent to like specific people. But it's very personal, but also really kind of remote and really. It's like that thing I was reading recently. Audre Lorde about eroticism and how talking about, you know, how the body and how the personal can become really political. And it's that thing where, you know, you use what you know and who you are to actually spread a message that is not universal, but that is kind of like making people think and maybe change their mind or kind of have another view. And then after that, there was Larry Achampong, who did an amazing performance for Art Nights and presented a film and an installation as well.
And again, like this, obviously this is from my googling of you, but like the performances in each of those, or the dance performance, then Erica's performance, then Larry's performance, they seem to kind of be the moments when I guess people visited the space.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was by appointment kind of thing. People did come, but the main thing was like really the opening and when there were performances, extra events. Yeah, definitely. And in those, you do realize that people do actually see things and they do come and they make an effort. And
So what now then? Now you're out of Nine Elms.
Now I am nomadic again. Yes. It's actually great. It's a really good thing. What's coming up with A to Z now is Art Leaks. There's going to be a screening happening with amazing artists. I'm not saying much because it hasn't been kind of announced yet. I need to do that. But you should come. Saturday, there are 2 screenings. So Saturday, it's 7 to 8 at Pelican.
Oh, yeah.
If that is coming out before.
We could...
I think
it might be. It's fine if it's not.
And then there is a second. Otherwise, you've missed it. And then there is a second one on the Sunday at Rywax of the same screening.
Okay. So again, like in spaces that aren't. I mean, they're obviously like a bit arty or something, but they're not. Yeah, but they're not galleries.
No, but I was really interested again in like kind of Rye Wax to me is like that venue that is really cool to go for like a gig and electronic music and it's quite, and they've got a vinyl shop as well there. It's quite, it's an interesting space. So I got in touch with those guys and they're great. And then the Peckham Pelican as well is a bar. But again, it's kind of trying to use, I really wanted it to happen in the cinema. And I was thinking at the rooftop in Peckham as well, cinema.
I think you can, you can use the
Peckhamplex.
Peckhamplex.
I did
cheap,
get in
right?
touch. No,
Is it
it's
quite
not very
expensive?
cheap actually. Yeah, I did ask them, and for like the smallest room, it's like 500 quid.
Really?
And it's not even the nights or the weekends. It's like for a weekday. I was like, maybe not.
Yeah, that's too much. Well,
I mean, yeah, the idea is like, A to Z is kind of parasitic, so it's a bit like, hey, hi, I can do a cool event for you. But also I make the posters, I make the program, if it's a screening, it's properly made. Like it's got in between, like, it's all, the idea is that it's a good thing. If you get me in your space, you get a good deal, basically.
You're still doing most of the stuff at Nine Elms, right? You're still doing the design and you were...
Yeah.
Were you the person who had to go and open up if someone wanted to come and see the show?
Yeah, I had one person helping me for the install, who is amazing. And then depending if I was around, but usually I would go. But there was a really good person, Joe Chan, who is an artist, great artist as well, who would help. And we actually had the space open on Saturdays for a while as well. And Joe was around for that too.
So did it feel different having that kind of opportunity, but also the responsibility of having this like real estate, which, as you spoke about, like in London is like the most coveted, but also it's like an albatross, right? Because you need to make it worth your while or something. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It feels like the pace. I think. I mean, when A to Z is nomadic, it's there are stuff happening constant. I mean, I'm discussing with different people at the moment, doing finding spaces for performances with an amazing artist called Nicole Bachmann, with who I really want to work with, and she got funding to actually produce a new piece of performance, which is going to be incredible, with dancers. So I'm working with her to find the right place and do all the promo and all that, and then discussing with different people, if I can actually invade their space a bit, which to me is like, maybe, I mean, it was great to have a space and like nothing. It was amazing. It was such a great experience. But as you said, it's got that thing of like, okay, you have to be there. You have to do something. You have to like, instead of being nomadic in a way, also you kind of get to collaborate a bit more and meet more people. I think, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe I might end up being in a space in a year and we have a chat. And you come to the private view and... but yeah, I don't know.
But is it tiring? I mean, if you're working full time and then you're doing this stuff on top,
I mean,
it's always new, right? Like you're always meeting a new person and being like, oh, do you think we could do this together? How would this work?
No, it's not tiring. It's great.
Okay.
For now, I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's how it's been working, and it's cool. It's selling something in a way, You have to sell the project. You have to be like, okay, you have to believe in it. And I think if you really, you start a conversation with an artist, or like there was a newspaper. It's really a shame I didn't bring stuff. I did a newspaper with a fashion designer called Dino Bodiccio. And that was an amazing experience as well. And like you work with someone that you share and have really positive exchange, and then you kind of try to present that to someone else. It's, in a way, it's a bit like selling something, but it's not for the money.
Yeah.
Which maybe is a mistake. I don't know.
But do people must, I mean, you've been doing it long enough and you do good things and people know that. Do people start approaching you? Do you have this kind of...
Yeah, I mean, it started to be like that, definitely. I mean, with the space, completely. But then, like, working with me, Nicole approached me, Nicole Barman. It wasn't and it's Johan Arendts as well, with who I worked last year. He's an amazing friend, and I love his work. And we just he kind of was like, hey, how about and I was like, yeah, great.
People want to collaborate, but I find that it's hard to begin that process unless you're certain that the other person has the energy and the time to do it.
But I mean, the energy you're talking about is like, do you really, but because, okay, so you work full time. What do you do at night? Well, you can go and have a drink sometimes, but you fucking work. Sorry, I'm swearing, but that's it. That's what you are doing. You just do it because you want to do it. And by the end, I might be like, why am I doing that? I'm doing it for no money and it's stupid. But I don't think so. I think there are things I'm looking at as well, funding wise and stuff. It's not putting it on the side at all. It's
so it's not trying. It's not fundamental that it's
exactly.
It just started that way.
Yeah.
I mean, you said you're doing more teaching work now, but would your future ideal situation would be to do A to Z all
full
the time? Or would you always like to do teaching? Would you always like to?
I don't know actually, but I'm thinking about doing a PhD. Everybody says that at the moment,
yeah.
but and it's quote. I read something recently from an old tutor of mine from Goldsmiths, and she wrote, the PhD is a new BA basically, but it's true. But yeah, no, I mean, I think using the platform, and I've been doing it for 6 years now, it's kind of something that I should actually really dive into and be like, okay, that's
theorizing it.
That's the main interest. And
so what would you do if you did a PhD? It would be a one with a big thesis. Oh, you do a practice-based one?
Yeah, I think so.
That's interesting.
I think it would be kind of practice/thesis.
And what would the kind of theoretical thing of it be?
I think it would be around, again, that idea of the morphing body and the using narrative to actually to change minds.
But in tandem with your curatorial practice of events, screenings,
performances.
Of course,
yeah.
Right, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Dr. Dufault.
Dr. Dufault.
That'd be
really
weird.
Good.
But yeah. So what I was thinking as well is I could send you some of the the playlist, but also some extract of things that I think
Open
are
the pod bay
interesting.
doors, please, Hal. Hello, Hal, do you read me? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal? Do you read me, Hal? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Hello, Hal, do you read me? Do you read me, Hal?
Affirmative, Dave. I read you.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
Do you listen to a lot of podcasts?
I do, yeah, I do.
And what's your kind of favourite format?
I mean, I think it's quite nice when it flows, when it's one thing, because when you get a thing in between, often it cuts off the actual...
The flow of the conversation.
and the way you listen as well, actually.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it?
It's a bit like an audiobook. I don't know, it's kind of that thing of
Because I listen to more produced ones as well, ones that are more tightly edited, story-driven. But yeah, my favourite is still the slightly overly long, rambling chat. It's quite a weird thing, really. What are your favourite ones?
I've been listening to a lot of French stuff on France Inter. Sorry. Often it's about writer or
my fave.
Musician or but it's really diving within to their stories, or they get interview with not necessarily family members or friends, or it sounds boring really, but
it's weird, isn't it? It's
nice.
Stuff that wouldn't have existed. It is a new form, I think, because it's stuff that people wouldn't have been interested in listening to 10 years ago, before mobile phones became so intertwined, cyborgian aspects of our lives, where you're always with it, and you could always have headphones in if you wanted to. Yeah, long form. Do you know that?
Yeah,
it's like the American
writers
one. It's really good, and it's a good way to like intro me to interesting writers. But it does seem to be American ones. It's interesting you listen to French ones.
Yeah, no.
There's not so many great English ones, like British ones, which is a bit of a weird.
What's the name of that really famous, like, there is an American one as well that is just like
This American Life?
Yeah. I mean, that's just like kind of, you just listen to that forever. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, the archive is so massive as well. But that's interesting because that's like a pre-podcast. Like it was it's been on the radio for years.
Yeah.
And then they were kind of the only people doing that form of radio. And then podcast came along, and that was the first, podcast came along and it was mainly interviews, and then that was the only other way of doing it. That was the kind of model for a lot of podcasts. I've done things like that as well, but they're not as popular as the interviews, I don't think. I think people
prefer kind of having...
Yeah, well, I think I'm not like an incredibly talented team of professional radio producers, but if you get someone who's doing something interesting, and I think that's why I was interested to talk to you, because I think you don't often hear curators talk about what they do outside of like a professionalized context.
Yeah.
Like artists, it's a bit more common, but still you're normally kind of, like you say, like selling it. You're normally like in the middle of the work or at the private view or doing the talk at the gallery, which is a very different thing to just talking about like the practical stuff of like how you got that thing to happen or yeah.
But there was a series of radio shows, and I cannot find. So if anyone knows that, that would be amazing, because there was a radio show that was about, I think it was a curator doing that, going to artist studio space. The way the format was that the artist was talking about what they had on their desk. That was it. They could only talk about what the object on their desk and then explain why, and then you would enter within their work. But that was a way in, and I cannot remember who, but that wasn't a podcast. That was like a radio show. But I don't know.
That's so great.
I remember someone talking to me about it, but then, and I thought the way was like to get into someone's life.
Yeah.
It's like, tell me your 3 favorite books, or like your 3 favorite album or whatever, or playlist. Or
I did a talk once where I just got I have all my art stuff in like one folder on my hard drive, and I just opened it up and got the audience to be like just choose. So it was like they would choose like drawings and then the year, and then these drawings would pop up and you could see like tiny thumbnails, and then they'd pick one. It was really nice. But I think that was from someone else. Yeah, someone else's idea was a desktop crit or something where like you're only allowed to talk about what's on someone's computer desktop. But that also reminds me of an amazing, which is again like pre-podcast. I really used to love, in the Guardian review, they used to have this thing called the writer's desk, which was like a really nice photo of like a desk that someone wrote at, and then like the writer would write about their desk. And again, it's this thing of like getting into the kind of material qualities of what it is to write, and that stuff, like I love it so much. I don't know what the feeling is, and it's probably not necessarily like that positive. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You don't really learn from it, but I love the feeling of thinking about like doing something. Maybe it's because it means
but I
that
think
you
it's so personal as well. Like it's really like a personal thing, I guess. Like for like the writer to be like, yeah, okay, that's it. That's that's what it looks like, and then it's really like getting into. But I'm sure you get stuff out of it, though.
I guess sometimes you get affirmation about the way you work, or ideas for the way you work, or reassurance that it's not. I think that's probably
not
a big
only
thing.
You.
Yeah, exactly. That it's not like that. Even if you're successful or whatever, like even if you have huge success, which is often the people that newspapers or whatever are interviewing, like it's still like really boring to write something, or it's really hard to get going, or they can only really do a few hours of writing a day. Because that's the worst thing, isn't it? Like the idea that like people who manage to do things are like psychotic robots who like only sleep 2 hours a night.
Yeah.
Although that's what it sounds like when you're saying, like,
well, no, it's
you
not.
don't get tired or something.
I mean, no, it's not like no, it's not getting tired about it. It's just like because you like what you do, you know. It's just like, I mean, of course, like there are stuff that I find really boring, but if you think that way, then you won't do anything. You know, it's like, well, if you want to do it, just do it. Because
but it is the particular kind of thing that you do must create quite an administrative burden, right?
Yeah.
Like you must have like a million emails plus all your emails from full-time job.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming has a lot of administration of its own.
Yeah, a lot. A lot. But there are good sides, you know, out of that. There are good parts. And yeah, of course, like the curatorial side is just fucking admin. It's admin.
Yeah.
That's it. It's mainly that.
So what are the moments that like make it feel really worthwhile?
All like, you know, the creation of the design side of things that I love, like, you know, the poster, the like all the GIF and like all like the social media thing where you build up through, you know, posting an image or posting a GIF and then you get I don't know, you get people who are like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll come to that. The emailing, I don't find it annoying. I'm like, you know, it's part of the job as well. And often people don't open them. So you have to be like, hey, email again. Hey,
As in, you have like MailChimp or whatever and it tells you who's
you've got,
opened it.
you've got that. But then you need to do it also personal, like, you know, be, hey, how about you come to this? But also, I mean,
you've done it like 3 times to me during this interview. You've been like, maybe you can come to this.
yeah, I'm really annoying like that.
No,
I'm not real. I'm a robot.
Yeah.
I've been programmed to be like.
But is that your like? Because for me, like engagement, weirdly, even though I do a lot of things that involve like talking to people, and the idea of like asking someone to engage with what I'm doing is like the worst thing in the world. Maybe that's like a English politeness thing as well. I don't know.
To
But
be like, how about you like come? Or,
yeah, basically, yeah.
I don't know. I think it's. I mean, if you're interested, you can come. But if you're not, you don't have to. But I don't know. To me, it's like logical. How about you come?
Course,
you know, come to that. I think it's again that thing of like getting people interest and being like, hey, you should definitely check it out.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to, it's up to you. Whatever. And the thing is also it's like anything that comes out with like, you know, music thing or like, oh yeah, exhibition, you know, it's only for a certain amount of time. So you are like trying to get people to come and getting their attention. There are so many different ways you can do that.
Yeah.
It's the annoying side maybe, but it's also like, yeah, if you get that person to come, that's great.
So you enjoy the design part of it and you enjoy the hustling kind of part of it.
Yeah, you have to. It's part of it, so you have to embrace it.
What are the moments?
But the best part is the events, basically.
Okay,
and like
you
know, and working with the artists and you know the discussion, the preparation is great. I think.
And what's your teaching style when you do teaching?
Well, so I'm a beginner, so tutorials and creates are kind of like giving references as much as possible, but being really critical as well. And that's like, you know, Goldsmith style.
Oh, right, going for the kill.
Well, not going for the kill, but, you know, people need to know if it's not working. I haven't said if it's shit. I said if it's not working.
That's Goldsmith's code for shit.
No. But it's kind of, you know, like important to be like, kind of poking people and being like, okay, think more. Like maybe, how about you look at this? But not being also pedantic about it and being like kind of, And then the seminar side of things, so last year I was doing an MA group around, it was all around sci-fi and the narrative, and there was a field trip, there was like a reading group with lots of different references, and Ito Sterl and to Margaret Atwood, to comic books, and then this year I'm doing it with Johnny Golding, with a philosopher who has developed the kind of the idea of radical matter, which is kind of looking at different fields with science, informatic, robotic, and philosophy, and kind of trying to expand within the idea of entanglement and how everything is related, but how do you kind of get the best out of this? And again, it's that thing of, preconceived ideas. How do you break boxes, and how do you like kind of link things together?
Thank you so much to Anne for coming and speaking to me, and thanks to you all for listening. Goodbye.